right, Space Oddity.
Do you want all this shit on the table?
Yeah, I'll move it.
Okay.
Are we live?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Where are we?
Whoa.
What's going on?
Okay.
What is going on? There's like a crew, there's people around us.
I don't know. We came a long way from the iPhone in your bedroom.
I think we should just settle into a song and then go from there, maybe?
Feels right.
Okay. Without further ado. Ooh.
Feels good.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. I miss Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on.
Okay. Check ignition.
Ignition.
I don't know this
May
song
God's
that
love
well.
be with you. We are not professional musicians. This is ground control to Major Tom. And Erica's having sound issues. And the neighbors want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. Something like that. And this is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door. And I'm floating in a most peculiar way. And the stars look very different today.
Sorry, I left you
Oh,
out to dry there.
here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. How's it sound over there, Erica?
Sounds great.
Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do about this heat. Welcome, everybody.
What I was going to say is, I left you out to dry, but what's not dry is you today, brother.
Well, welcome everybody to another Wildfire live stream. This is crazy.
This is
we have
amazing.
official cameras rolling. We have one of my best friends, Hari Ramesh, on the other side of the camera. We got Taylor Zaj over here. We got Erica Sherwood on the switchboard and sound. And we have a very special guest coming in very shortly.
Yes. That is true.
That is very true. We're looking to captivate tonight our viewers with this next Wildfire Live.
Oh, very good.
And we have filmmaker, entrepreneur Adam Stevenson joining the show.
Sounds good.
So without further ado, I'm going to jump into Adam's bio here. So Adam is a filmmaker, entrepreneur, movie buff, father, husband, cyclist, and avid dog lover. Not lover of avid, though, or maybe we'll talk about post-production software at some
True.
point. He's been passionate about everything film production for more than half of his life. As a young man, his goal was to move to Hollywood and make movies. But over the years, his ambition towards filmmaking has kept him in Niagara. Well, not but. Over the years, his ambitions towards filmmaking have kept him in Niagara, where he's become firmly rooted with an amazing family, talented colleagues, and lots of trails and nature to explore. Hit it, Nick. Take it from here.
He's the owner and project director of a successful video and photo production company, Captivate Photo and Cinema. He's been building his brand since 2011. The company had an initial focus on cinematic weddings, but as time marched on, the vision grew to encompass commercials, music videos, corporate films, and more. His aspiration for Captivate is to have the creative freedom to explore and express great ideas through moving pictures and photographs. He is living his best life doing what he loves with the people he loves. I had to change all the pronouns because it was first person. That's okay, because I did it.
Hey, man, that was great work. That was a great bio read.
Is that,
Well, I mean, we're the Wildfire guys.
is that all we can say?
This is Nicholas Jansen. I'm
That's
Jade
true.
Robertson, and we're very excited to welcome Mr. Adam Stevenson to the Wildfire live stream, everybody. Woo! Welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Warm.
Yeah, it is quite warm in here. Is it? It's the summertime.
Yeah, it feels like it's like do the right thing in here. You know, it's like a hot summer day, and it's like the AC's pushing 90 right now. So
Yep.
I'm not nervous. Are you nervous?
I'm a little nervous.
I'm a little flustered.
I'm soaking wet. My fingers are pruning right now.
I'm soppy. Well, without further ado, would you like to get into it, good sir?
Sure.
This is crazy, by the
Let's
way.
do it.
We're actually sitting across from one another. This isn't like a we're not playing with you.
Well, there's plexiglass, so it's very hard to see.
Plexiglass.
Yeah,
The
it's
spit is not hitting
yeah,
each
it's
other.
very hard to see.
But yeah, thank you so much for opening your doors to us. And
Literally, the door's open to let the air in.
the door is open.
Yeah,
We have some air.
glad to have you guys.
But yeah, it's awesome.
How are you?
Awesome.
Besides warm, I'm excited. I've seen a lot of the streams and that. It's like cool to kind of be featured and talk about
I'm just gonna let the sweat keep just kind of happening. I'm not gonna
Zoom in.
Stop it.
4K enhanced. Yeah, it's
You're doing well. You're doing well.
We'll have that in post. Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing well.
Flames digitally added.
Yes.
So
I'm glad
what's
you're doing well. Storm.
what's 2021 been like for you and for Adam?
First half pretty slow. 2020 was pretty rough too, obviously very slow. But 2021 second half has been a lot of fun. It's been very busy. So I think as the world started to open up, everyone just got the the go button, and the work has been coming in. And right now my biggest challenge is just time.
Absolutely,
Finding
yeah.
time.
Absolutely.
It's been a great year though.
Where are you from?
Thorold.
Thorold.
Oh yeah.
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Parents still there?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What did they do, your parents?
Well, my mom, she passed away. She was a banker at First Ontario.
Okay.
And my dad, he was a millwright at Domtar.
Okay.
And he's retired now. So he's our #1 babysitter for our daughter. And
Nice.
yeah, he's keeping busy.
Congratulations on being a father
Yeah.
of both a daughter and a dog.
Yes.
We'll
yeah.
get to be. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Hi, Buffy.
To all the pets out there watching, we'll get to you. We've got some questions lined up.
A two-hander here. I guess what got you interested in film, and what was a film growing up that you think back to or inspired you in some way?
Well, the first movie I ever saw in theaters, drive-in, was Batman.
Oh,
So that
nice.
imprinted me pretty early on. And then the movie that I think really got me into filmmaking and just the love of movies was Terminator 2.
Nice.
So that one really
James Cameron.
sticks. Yeah,
I like
Love.
James Cameron.
We love
literally every camera trick that can be done in movies is done in that
Yeah.
movie. It's pretty amazing.
The VFX is pretty well too.
Yeah.
You asked what got you interested. What other types of art are you or have you been drawn to?
Well, I love like surreal or abstract art like Dali or something like that. But I also like music. I think anyone who's into film generally has a love for music.
Yep.
Beyond that, I'm a kind of an amateur special effects guy. So I do like mask making. I've got like a concrete bust of my own head in my backyard that I use to model silicone on. So
Cool.
I like working with my hands, clay, and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. What kinds of stories are you most interested in trying to tell?
Writing has taken a bit of a backseat in my life the past few years, but when I do write, the usual way that I like to go is science fiction. So, and that's usually, as you can understand, in the world of indie filmmaking, when there's not a lot of money, it's usually hard to
Accomplish,
space shuttle scene. How are we going to do this?
Right.
So I like that, but I also sort of like the natural, a natural kind of vibe to comedy. So comedy being a very hard thing to write because you really need the people in the place to kind of deliver.
Right.
You're writing your lines, you're like, is that funny? I don't know if it's funny. Somebody says it, and it's like, okay, that's gold.
Yeah.
Or that does not land.
Right.
So yeah, I think a mix of sci-fi comedy.
Right. I'm kind of in the process of that, writing, comedy scripts and trying to think, is this funny or is this just funny to us? Like, how is it going to play? But yeah, it's a little bit of a give and take there.
I feel like comedic dialogue is hard to write, but you can write comedy into the scenes cinematically, and there's ways to use the form, and I guess with pacing and abruptness and just with timing and stuff.
Timing is key, yeah, because even when we're editing like the Wolves of Queen Street right now, it's like you're kind of, because it's a live event type movie, you're almost like giving beats for laughter. You're like, okay, let's hope this is funny, and we
plans.
don't want to have a machine gun line right next after it, so that if there's laughter, they're not going to miss like a pertinent line. So hold for applause and go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And when you cut that together, how does that work as far as giving that breathability and stuff?
Just instinct.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about post-production. What directors have you come to revere and be inspired by in your work?
Well, I'd say like my favorite working director is Fincher.
Okay.
If I could I think his style, his use of like close-up photography, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, like the intense amount of cuts to like close-ups and just those detail type shots I really love and I'm inspired by.
Cool. Yep.
I'm a big Nolan fanboy just because I love the epic big action IMAX. So anything that really makes you feel like the theatrical experience is alive, like that really gets me excited. Even if the content is just like, for instance, Dunkirk was like a life-changing movie for me just because seeing that in IMAX at the Scotiabank Center just blew my mind, and it just like kind of made me feel like I was a kid again.
Right.
not understanding how they did certain things, but just going for the ride.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I'd say Fincher and Nolan are up there for me. And then of course Kurosawa, the geek in me, just because I love samurai stuff and feudal Japan. So, but every filmmaker's got to kind of like have that aspect, and of course Kubrick, guys, untouchable. So.
Well, yeah, the Kubricks and even the Nolans of the world are they are great with sort of the cryptic narratives that are a little bit more difficult sometimes to follow. You really need the rewatch value is there.
Yeah.
For sure. So emulating that is something I'm hoping to do in some of my future films.
I'm talking about emulation. Like I've done a lot of parody films. Like I'm not shy to admit that I copy everyone, and I think that's a big part of art. Is just like imitation. So like Marty Scorsese, I call him Marty. We're pretty close.
Yeah, that's cool. It's fine.
He's obviously like just everyone loves him, right? He can't do anything wrong. He's just amazing. So all these filmmakers, anytime I see something that I like, I just say like, how can I do that? Like, there's a shot in Dragon Tattoo when like Sarsgaard leans forward when he's like, thank you for bringing her to me, and he's like out of focus and he leans into focus. Like, I basically put one of those shots in everything I do.
Okay.
Like I'm just, that's the shot that I need in every movie I make. I do that at weddings too. It's like, can you do this really weird thing? I just shot a wedding and the bride looked a little bit like, I can't think of her name, the lead from Gone Girl. Rosamund. Yeah, Rosamund. Thank you, Taylor.
The crew.
And so I'm like, oh, you look just like her. Let's do this shot. And everyone's like, isn't that movie like, isn't she mental in that movie? Like this crazy? And I'm like, yeah, but she's cool. Like it's good. Let's go with it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one of the weddings. I think Taylor shot you. It replicated the Goodfellas, sort of like walk in to the song as like when they're walking through.
My wife and I did that in our own wedding. We did. Our whole wedding was like inspired by Martin Scorsese movies.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
It's good that we'll be talking about the Wolves in a little bit.
Super geeks,
Absolutely.
Well, traveling way back, I guess, how did you get started in film? Just trying it out and then eventually professionally as a career?
Well, actually, my good friend Nate Thomas, who was my neighbor growing up in Thorold, and his parents had a VHS camera, so we actually the cliched started making movies, in the basement, just playing around. And then in high school, I started hanging out with people that I still work with this day, like Derek Burnett and Mike Bursling and close friends of mine, and we started making movies in high school essentially, and it just kind of rolled there, and we just kept going.
Were you guys working with scripts? Were you and getting people to act in it, and there was sort of a flow to it?
For sure. I in high school I worked at the video store, That's Entertainment, shout out.
Oh, nice.
And
True shout I would literally cast people that would walk in. Sorry, Greg. I would literally when people would come in, I'd be like, you got a really good voice, or you want to be in my movie? Yeah. And I feel like when you're 18 and 19, you can get away with that. It's a bit harder as you get a bit older.
Yeah.
But we would write scripts, we would storyboard, we would do shot lists, legit. I remember June 1st to June 20th, Derek and I were in production back in 2005.
Yeah.
Every day, back then it's no legit full-time job yet. You're just like, okay, let's go make a movie every single day.
Right.
And we premiered that at Fairview. Fairview closed right after. I think our movie killed it.
Yeah.
And then, but we just did it. We just had fun doing it. So.
That's sick.
No, it's cool that you were so early on the scripts and storyboards, because when I would make movies in high school, I think to the extent it was my siblings acting, and I would shout a line to them off camera, and they'd say it immediately. So. Yeah, the foresight to, storyboard and get it out there is awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're good movies. I mean, I've made a lot of movies, but have I actually, made a movie?
Right.
Just, that's the whole thing for me. It's like a hobby that I've been able to turn into a career, but I still consider myself very fringe into my own world of filmmaking, and I kind of just, I'd like to go by the beat of my own drum kind of vibe.
Totally, awesome. Totally. As far as that kind of stuff goes, as far as gear goes, what was the first piece of gear you purchased?
Okay, well, yes, I'm a bit of a gear pig, so now that I've got a business, it's like I love reinvesting. I call it reinvesting so it doesn't just sound like buying toys.
Yeah.
But the first thing I got was probably just a small mini DV camera.
Okay.
I remember borrowing a friend's other camera as a B camera, which is completely different, and it had an internal fan on it, and the fan was so loud that it was killing our takes.
Oh, really?
So I mean, these were our crappy high school movies, right?
Right.
And then we went as far as to make, if you recall back in the early 2000s, the $14 Steadicam, just the literal weight. And then I think the first legit camera that I rented was with Erica.
Oh, really?
Years ago, was was it the Panasonic's 100 AP or? DVX 100 AP, rented from Vistech.
Nice.
And then the first camera I bought was the Canon XH-A1, which I remember back in the day with Jay Lupish and we bought a Brevis mount on top of it, so it allowed you to, it had a fixed lens, and it allowed to add this periscope to give you the ability to put on EF mount lenses, and it would have ground glass in it, so you would turn it on and it would shake and create this cinematic look, and also make the camera this long and 75 pounds.
Holy.
Yeah, so it's a lot of toys over the years.
That was the Canon EX?
XH-A1.
XH-A1.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that was mini DV. I still got a bunch of tapes.
A1. And the Brevis?
And that was the Brevis, it was called, yeah. I think it was from the company Cinovate, which is out of Thunder Bay, which is where I went to film school at Confederation College. Oh, nice. So Cinovate's this big company out of Thunder Bay. Shout out to the
Jade's making his shopping list right now.
Just making some notes,
So I guess, you know, technology is like changing so rapidly. I guess what's a piece of gear you wish that's on your list right now, your wish list?
You know, the one camera that's featuring me right now is the Sony a7S III, which is a really amazing camera. It's the video autofocus. You know, that was not a thing that existed 5 years ago that you could like bank on.
Right.
So now that video focus and autofocus is a thing that you can rely on a little bit more, it's like a tool that you now have. That to me is like just the wish has been fulfilled. Right. But you know, the other thing I think would be really cool is just, and I know they have it with the Tilta Nucleus thing, like just the ability to have like a focus system that could almost, you know, with your own hands. Like I know with the Ronin S's, you've got the dials and that. You know, it's a tough question because there's, you know, if I had the money hose, it would be like in a mirror or something like that. Like just like, okay, get that, but then you're entering that world of, you know, just, okay, like you can't even, like it's put next to your pillow, you know, like when you go to bed at night because you don't want to get...
Well, you sleep with a knife, Scorsese, right?
Yeah. So I don't know, there's a lot of gear. There's always something new, you know. Like even today when we were setting up, like my old A7S II just started like acting up as you guys saw, and we had the prep time. I'm like, oh, okay, there's my 2015 camera, like decides it doesn't want to work anymore, so we're flying into the Canon over here, and it's...
Temperamental. Thank you, Canon.
Canon Mark III acting as the third camera.
What lens makes for the most... Like, I guess lens width makes for the most dynamic shot in your eyes, or can sort of get those most dynamic shots?
So, like, my go-to lens is 50 mil. Like, a prime 50 is really nice for me.
A true 50, not with an adapter on.
Yeah. You know, and I'm technical, but I'm not so crazy. Like, you couldn't pop on a lens and a variable focus or variable and say set it at 29 and I would know. I wouldn't really catch it right away, but I think anywhere from like 28 to 35 is like the really good, like just to give you that wide shot, because I'm a big Gilliam fan too. So when you see his shots and his worlds that he builds, you know, he's doing so much set design and production design and that, so that the wides really benefit.
Right. As
you know, with like smaller productions and that, you don't always get that benefit, like to show the whole world, right? Like we cut to the wide angle here, we did it on purpose to light it up and show it, but yeah, let's just keep it tight, And 1.4 follow shallow field depth of field, and we're good to go.
70, 80, 90,
yeah. But I like, you know, the Sigma Art 35 mil at 1.4 is just like so sexy.
Creamy.
And then your favorite camera body to shoot on. What feels the best for you?
Well, so I've been a Canon, like photo Canon all the way. I just love the feel of it, and I'm really kind of showing my age and a little bit of crusty old man vibes where I don't want to move away from, like I don't, what's it called when you're like just the viewfinder? I want the shutter. I want my eye up against the camera, and I want that, the mirrorless photography doesn't really fly for me yet.
Okay.
I'm not unwilling to change, but for photo I like the click.
Okay. Yeah.
And then on video, Sony has been rocking it for me, and I've fully committed. I actually have a Sony FX6 on order, so that's going to be my new toy in the new year whenever they fulfill back order, because like, you know, and I contacted the shop, they're just like, yeah, it's, you know, maybe in 2025 you'll get it. I'm like, okay, just put my name on the list. Yeah. We'll see then.
You're in.
Segue into where we are right now, which is Captivate Photo and Cinema, which is a lovely studio.
Usually very comfortable, climate controlled.
Yeah.
You know, but
today it's a little
we're rocking with it.
Toasty.
I wanted to just, I guess, ask you the beginning question of like that initial motivation to actually take what your skills are as a filmmaker and commercialize them into a business.
So why did I start it?
What was the motivation? Like at what point were you like, I need to start a business?
Well, I decided, you know, in my 20s I struggled with like, do I pack it up, move out to LA? Do I move out to take it back, Toronto?
Yep.
You know, I'm a Niagara born and raised. I love the region. Yep. And so I just decided that I didn't want to like kind of, even though I love production, I don't want to be on set for 4 months at a time, crushing out 20-hour days, you know, and then just, you know, I know I've talked to people that's what they do, 4 months on, 4 months off, 4 months on. And I just decided I didn't want to do that, but it took me a decade to figure that out.
Right.
I struggled. I was like, you know, hemming and hawing, like, what is life, you know, stuff like that.
Life is what?
Yes, exactly. And so I think
still don't
the idea to start the business, and I started it with 2 other guys back in the day. It was Jay and Adrian.
Yep.
It was just basically to, just do it. Like, do what I'm good at and make it myself and, run the show. And it's not even about control. It's just about the ability to do it.
Okay.
And if the short answer to that is all the toys that I wanted when I was a kid, I wanted a reason to go out and reinvest and get them for my company so that I could go out and make a movie with my peers and friends and all that whenever I wanted. Now, as you know, you get busy and you stop doing that, as much because you don't have time. Clients, yeah. But the cool thing is when we want to go and do something, we can. And it's like,
you have all the toys.
I know we're working towards the Wolves, but like that was all of my toys basically, and all the crew that were involved brought out like their own lights and certain gear, but it's just like the ability to just go out and do it yourself, and like, it's like no gods, no masters, just go for it,
Can't wait to get there. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're running there.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What have been some of the challenges in running a film business, and running it here in Niagara?
Well, the challenge is like I started a business so I could be creative, and then now I'm running a business, so I'm doing administrative, and I'm learning that I'm more of a manager, and it's all about putting people in the right place,
Right.
And like when I think about what I do, it's literally just knowing how to put people where they need to be, and then that ends up taking you a bit away from the creativity. As I mentioned earlier, like it's all time blocks, and it's just like I'm constantly juggling things.
Okay.
And some of the challenges I think everyone in the area knows, because I've never really, deep dived into too many clients in Toronto. I have a few, but not it's not my full roster by any means.
Right.
But it's like people don't want to spend money, and if there's people watching this right now that do video or photo, they're all like, oh yeah, he's been there. Like they don't understand the value of like what goes into it,
Right.
and just how much work even something like this is to go up, and it's like
This is the truth.
it's just
The
a lot.
hours, just the hours, and the days.
And it's
prep
the
and
skill to know what to do
wrap
when a
and-
camera stops working,
Yeah.
and making adaptations, and so
It's being ready,
Yeah.
preparedness.
hurry up and wait.
So that would be one of the challenges is, I guess, just some people understanding that, but also just in your own ability in running a business, being able to, I guess, wear those different hats.
Yeah, and so what I'm learning now, like Taylor, he's like my number one. He's the guy that kind of. If I didn't have him with me right now, like Captivate would basically be like probably under, because
Right.
I just don't have enough time to do it all. And then I have a bunch of people that I can lean on, and they all help me in a different way. So
Yeah.
the thing is, just like anyone who makes movies understands, it's collaboration, and you really can't do it all.
That's key.
You want to, but there's no reason to like kill yourself trying to do it all. There's no reason. Like
You have to have people you can rely upon and that can rely upon you.
yeah,
It's
and I'm really good at like not micromanaging. So I've worked really hard to just be able to shut my brain off.
Yeah.
When we were doing Wolves, I told Nick Murray, the DP, like, I don't want to look at the camera, because I'm very technical. I love getting into the guts of all the technical stuff. And I said, no, I got to focus on the performance and let like Pat and Tino do their thing and work with them, because sometimes I find I'm just too technical, and then the actor's like, what do I do? And I'm like, hey, shut up, I'm working on the camera.
It's a balance.
Yes. So it's the same thing with all of this. It's just, even with the people that I employ, just like letting them go and do their thing.
Okay.
So of the whole gamut of content that's out there in different formats and styles, what do you enjoy working on the most and find creatively fulfilling?
When you say style, like, what do you mean? Are you
Like whether like narrative or like documentary or like
So-
music, wedding video, whatnot.
Yeah, like I
Commercial.
like
Yeah.
the commercial stuff has always been, that's kind of where I started. I started as a film kid, and then I started doing commercial stuff with like Jay back in the day,
Yep.
and then moved into weddings. And I think what I like the most is the narrative, because I do have a writing background.
Yeah.
But like right now, I'm developing a film for the Niagara Regional Fire Chiefs, and doing like a recruitment film for them.
Right.
And right now, like, just I say this to my wife Bunny frequently when we're like juggling time. It's like I have to sometimes just I'm managing, emailing this, that, capturing footage, exporting something, and then I got to push a button and be creative, and just go and like sit down and write. And that
Mode.
I love it, but it's like it's just weird that that's part of the job that again people don't really understand. It's like turn that switch on and get creative and start thinking about shots and developing them and knowing how to like use a camera to like it's easy to write it, and then can you make it happen? So I
Right.
think if somebody comes to me like Wolves is great too, because it's like go make a movie, write it, shoot it, all this stuff, and finish it on time.
Yeah.
That's the dream right there. Like that's
Yeah.
why I started doing this. So
We're almost there.
I know I mean that's all my world right now. Like Erica's actually editing in the background for me right now. She's doing some offline editing. So, how's it going?
Within the inherent competition of the film industry, as it relates to other industries as well, what is the nature of defining your brand, and as a business, and finding yourself along the way as a business? What is the nature of defining your brand, and as a business, finding yourself along the way, and sort of balancing that, sort of like that film hat, and also that admin and businessman sort of mentality?
Yeah, like I think when Captivate was 3 owners, it was a bit different because we all had our own like input. And now that I'm the sole owner, I kind of feel like, you know, it's my personality that's my brand.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like me and you can you know get down with my
me, then we can.
yeah, you know, if you can handle me on my best day, was there saying about that or something?
the worst,
something like that. It's very famous. I got it
yeah.
up on the wall. And
You missed 99% of shots in the time.
yeah, when you guys- yeah. So yeah, like I when I talk to new clients, I'm always just trying to sell them on myself and my personality and my brand. It's like sometimes that stuff seems so disingenuous to me.
Right.
That's why I'm also not too huge on like social media. Like even with the stuff you guys are posting, I'm just like share. Like
Bang, bang,
I just find, I know it's a full-time job and people
is.
like need to dedicate their time to it, but I put a polish on everything. So you know that's the big thing is, you know, I don't come to a shoot unprepared.
Yep.
What I hope people get from Captivate, if they're going to book us for whatever wedding or commercial or short film or photo,
Yep.
is just the extra little bit of work I'll do. And I always like to call it like direct client to owner service.
Okay.
So I'm not big enough that I have like 100 people doing their own thing. You know, it's like you call Apple, you're not going to talk to the CEO of Apple, but you call Captivate, you're going to talk to
The CEO of Captivate.
Yeah. So it's a bit more personalized, and I think that works well with
That's a good
people when
touch,
they
yeah.
don't want to deal with the company that's so big, but it's also kind of unfortunately can cut me out of a bigger market, because I know I could handle a job from, you know, Mercedes or be like, you know, I could do a kick-ass car commercial, but
Absolutely.
will they give a smaller company with like 5 employees the chance?
Right. So I guess it's growing over time.
But
and figuring out that's
the demo reel, just build up that reel and show it that you can do it, right? That's what it comes down to.
I think
So we briefly mentioned at the beginning that the crew tonight, but I wanted to give you a chance to give everyone a shout out that's here helping us out tonight. Along with the question, what are some strategies to build great team chemistry with your team at Captivate?
So yeah, we already introduced, we got Taylor on the camera here.
You want a pen, Hardy, to show Taylor?
Taylor's my point man. He's my Riker, number 1.
Want to show Erica in the back?
We got Erica.
Erica Sherwood, actor.
Anyone in the Niagara region who knows film production knows Erica's name. She's been doing stuff for years. She's awesome.
This is the truth.
Super talented.
We have Greg. Oh, no, we don't. And
Greg's
that was a Wi-Fi issue.
Greg's at home working on Wildfire.
But Greg is working on the VFX.
Answer your question. I mentioned earlier about micromanaging, letting people do their thing. You know, I got a guy who comes out with me a lot too, Fraser. He's awesome.
Yep.
Just like when Taylor and Fraser go out, I don't tell them what to do. They know what I want, and the environment I try to build is that I'm not going to tell you, like, micromanage you.
Right.
So, because I don't have time really. Like, I don't want to reinvent the wheel on every shoot. I want my creative people. That's kind of what I'm paying you to do, is be creative.
Right.
You know, so
Create.
like, go do. And like, yeah, I think that's successful. That's the successful approach I have, because people hopefully like to work with me because I just let them go. And I think that translates to my demeanor on set too. And I try to respect everybody. I know that they're long days. I know that sometimes we're all working at like not the value that we're worth. And I just understand that, and I understand the principles of how to treat people. And that in turn always gives me a good product, because then when I say, hey, can you come out for this shoot, people are inclined to do so.
You're a human. You're a real human.
I try to, yeah, real human. Where's that soundtrack going?
That's a fight. Or no, I'll play that. Drive. In running a film business, what aspect of the process do you think is the most overlooked by the client?
Post-production.
Insofar as?
Well, okay, so a client, you know, it's only an hour, come out for an hour. It's like, well, no, it's not like I don't show up at 5:59 to be ready to roll at 6. You know, it's like I need 90 minutes to get my gear ready, clean lenses, stuff like that. I need to travel. So then that's like the day of stuff. So people, when they say they only want an hour, it's like, well, no, it's more like 4 hours. You know, and then you have to understand, just like shooting something is literally not even half the battle, because then you got to offload it, and then you have to manage it, make sure it's like redundant and secure. It can't be just on 1 terabyte hard drive from Best Buy. You've got to do like, you know, raids and stuff like that. You need to have clouds and that. So that is part of the post-production process. And I mean, I'm learning too as I go. Like, there's certain things like when we need voiceover, you know, they have a fee associated with their time too. And you know, a lot of the voiceover artists I've worked with are great, but they charge a good amount of money. So you know what I mean? It's like I've done jobs where I'm like, I didn't really budget for that.
Yeah.
Or I recently just did a job where I had to do French translation, and it was like I didn't really understand like just how much that was, like to get French subtitles in place. So
and get it done right.
So now I'm learning as I go too, like quoting and understanding that aspect of it. But post-production is the polish, right? Like if you're prepared on the day, you're going to have a good product on your computer at the end of the day. But then once you still have a lot to do to kind of make it look great, sound great.
Yep.
And I just think that's an aspect that the client doesn't always understand, even right down to archival. You know, I do obviously, you know, 50 plus weddings a year, and I have clients sometimes going like, oh, the USB stopped working after 3 years. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, most hard drives fail if they don't spin, and flash drives are no different. But they sometimes are like surprised that I do keep all that stuff because I'm a bit of an archivist. You know, but they're almost like, expecting you, like, you know, that you hold on to this footage. Like, they're not paying me for that.
Right.
Like, it's not like I don't get $5 a month to hold on to it forever, but I do because I like to. And then so that's an aspect of it where it's like the post-production is like everything, and it's like managing that.
That's a good example too of just as far as being the CEO, but also this client-owner based relationship and building the good like trust that, you know, what I'm getting for you is protected, you know, and I have it there for you. I'm curious in regards to post and just the sheer volume of projects that you're doing and those finishing touches. Obviously, you're out shooting. You have Taylor editing here. I mean, are you both just editing, or are you taking it through the processes of mix, color?
Everything, so like
titles, like just all the packaging.
Every decision I make, it's like, okay, I need Taylor out for a shoot, but if I take him from that shoot, he's going to be away from the editing. So, but you know, the team is growing, and there's that. I'm learning, especially this year when you second half 2021 with the big year vacation. 2021 has been so busy that I'm actually pretty stressed with time right now, and
I got to go somewhere right now.
Yeah, like okay, AC in the car, right? So. But yeah, so with post-production, I like to kind of control the final look on everything, just to kind of get that last look. With weddings, definitely like Taylor's got the show, like he's his own, you know, unit that he can do everything, you know. But I still like to be involved because, you know, it is kind of like, you know, my babies, and I want to make sure that they all look great because quality is really important to me. You know, I know that in the film world, there's definitely a stigma about weddings. A lot of people don't even want to touch it with a you know, 10-foot monopod. But
10-foot boom pole.
Save that guy for later. So, but the fact that you know, we started, they're my bread. Like they carry me, they buy all my toys, reinvest, right? And
cheese.
Yeah, but the thing is, weddings keep you sharp because you are constantly like working in a situation where it's not like a retake scenario. You're constantly being put in a situation where you have to like adapt, and I like that. I like being on my toes like that. Yeah, like even this was like setting up the live. It's like, oh, live streaming. I mean, we're not even on air right now. I bet like these cameras aren't even plugged in. So just sweating here.
Oh, we know, so I guess what you see a lot of these projects through from the planning stages right through to completion. I just want to know, like, what's your favorite step along the way as far as creating or production or anything like that?
Yeah, they're all fun. You know, like pre-production is amazing when you get the time for it. Like the fire video I'm doing now, I get to like see it in my head and put it on paper, and we're gonna go to camera, and it's gonna be like very controlled. Production is obviously so much fun. I love, you know, I'm a pack rat, and I'm also like a bit of a rigging geek. You know, like I like having crazy, sometimes overcomplicated builds. You know, just to kind of, I like that part. And then seeing it, you know, you build it in pre, you get all the elements, and then you shoot it, and then now you get all these little pieces, and then you get to assemble it, and it's like, it's actually very hard for me to pick a area. What I am starting to see the benefit of, and Wolves has taught me this, is having an assistant editor who's now become the lead editor, which is Erica, because she was, you know, here I am on shoots, and I'm all stressed out about like the footage not getting reviewed and synced up, and you know, post-production problems, like client doesn't understand what sync is. It's like, yeah, it's a real thing, right? And so, but you know, I'm shooting a wedding like 2 weeks after the production, and then Erica, and I'm like, oh man, like I know she's working on it, and then I get a text like sync is done, and I'm just like, awesome.
Hallelujah.
So having an assemble editor, you know, going through that stuff that is a little bit tedious, well, not a little bit, everyone knows it's a bit tedious. And I used to say I like doing that because it gives me a chance to review the footage. But I shot it all, so I know, like, you know, directed it, so I know what it looks like. And then I'm working with Erica, and we're like, oh, what about this shot? Oh, why isn't this take here? Let's see it. And then I get to kind of quickly pull it up and see why it does or doesn't work. And then Erica's so close to it, so then she might have had a shot in that she thought was better, but then I find one and I'm like, no, I like that better because she's been so close to it. So I think moving forward, having an assistant editor and just someone working on that other eyes is, you know, I'm budgeting for that in the future. Like that's part of the package.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Because, you know, you go and shoot it and you need a little breather from it.
You do need that distance. That
A little
creative
bit.
Distance. Just,
Yeah.
I hear you. In regards to this fire stuff that you're making reference to, I'm a little curious about what you got going there and what project this is a part of.
So, I'm working for the Niagara Regional Fire Chiefs doing a recruitment film.
Okay.
And
This is an OMFPOA.
different.
This is a separate, okay.
So they're another client, and
Okay.
they're, you know, it's all led from one to the other, but
These are in my notes. These are in my
Yeah,
notes.
yeah,
I just
so-
want to make sure everyone knows.
OMFPOA have hired me to do some videos that we started a series. COVID slowed things down a little bit, and just they're, no offense to the firefighters, but for firefighters, sometimes they have a hard time getting the fire under their butts to go. the go switch is a little bit slow there, but I think it's because they have probably bigger fish to fry, like emergency services. So,
Right.
you know, the video guy isn't as important. But yeah, so I've got like an ongoing series that we're still in development with that. We've released 3 of the 9 that we're going to do.
Nice.
And then a whole different chapter has kind of brought me in to do this really like creative first video that's going to be pretty cool. Like, you know, like even this morning I was doing some prep on it, writing, and we're going to be shooting at the end of September, and it's just going to be, you know, I got the dream team. I got Taylor, I got Nick Murray, and I got Erica. It's like that's the
Right.
crew going out on it, and we're going to keep
The
it pretty
Avengers.
tight.
The Avengers.
Yeah, it's the dream team. So
Cool.
yeah.
Slight curveball. You mind if I take one?
Sure.
I'm just in.
Whoa.
Well, segueing into the Niagara community. I mean,
Right.
Nick, you're from Niagara as well. I'm just like
Yeah.
in running a business, which is a creative business like this, and finding ways to find clients that want to create stuff and want to put their brand out and have video content representing them. I'm just curious, like, what that experience is like, because obviously it's not narrative feature filmmaking. It's kind of got its own documentary aspect to it, and I guess commercial and promotion and brand promotion, that kind of stuff. But I'm just like curious about like working with clients on a creative level like that. I'm curious what that's like for you.
Well, you know, hot take right here. Like, I don't have an active salesperson, so it's like that's me,
Yeah.
and that's not good that I'm the salesperson. I go and show wearing like Total Recall shirts and look like,
Right.
you know, a total
Yeah.
dweeb.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, you know, so I've actually been lucky because a lot of my work comes to me,
Okay.
and you know, that's really cool that that's
knocking
happened.
on the door. Yeah.
I haven't had to do too many like, you know,
Reach outs.
and I mean I have to do more of that to grow.
Of course.
That's the next step as I start relinquishing control elsewhere.
Yep.
You know, that's what I need to do. So when I'm talking to a new client, I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Just, you know, Johnny Appleseed, when I talk to people, telling them what I do. Like I booked a gig at I was at a park with my daughter, and somebody was talking to me, and I said I did video, and then one thing led to another. Now I'm in the guy's wife's business doing a coffee video.
Right.
So it's just
Word of mouth.
yeah, like
sometimes
word of mouth from
natural,
weddings is like
organic.
huge, 70%.
Yeah.
And I get inquiries frequently that are just like, hey, can you do this? And I give them a quote, and so I'm lucky that way.
Yeah.
But I know I need to like step up my game. I got to get like a package going, maybe get an active salesperson and start doing that.
Right.
Because I know there's more work out there to be, you know, had. It's just I haven't. Frankly, bad excuse. Haven't had the time.
Yeah, no,
you know,
no,
bad
no.
excuse. You know, I haven't had the time to make more money and earn more and be more creative. But I am busy, and I'm trying my best to juggle it all. And that's really the thing. Is it's like
Time management.
the water feels like we're right here right now,
Yeah.
and I know it's because COVID hard stop, and now we're
It's
like,
not just a sweat.
yeah, it's like it is a sweat.
So
Shall we move in here to, I guess, what does it mean to you to come from Niagara, and the things that Niagara has given to you, and putting stuff back into Niagara, like you're putting your work back into Niagara as well?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of keeping it in Niagara. Like I love if the question is more about like how do I keep it here in Niagara, or
I guess, yeah, like what about Niagara do you love, and what keeps you here, and you know, wanting to make
I
stuff
mean,
here?
being an avid like outdoorsy person, you know, cycling. There's so many trails. You know, just I ride the canal from here to like from Thorold to Port Colborne frequently. I just love all that. So that's one aspect of why I like the region, and I just like the even though it's changing a little bit, the small town vibe. I mean, growing up in Thorold, it's like it's becoming a little
Big
metropolis, a little
Right,
bit. You know, like
the
you know,
gentrification.
it's getting bigger. But yeah, I don't know. I like Niagara. It's not perfect, but it's also it's just no, it's
Home.
Jinx.
Yeah.
Coke's in the fridge.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to kind of segue, I think, out of the Niagara community into, well, pulling together, stringing together.
Well, I was thinking about, like, we've been, the topic we've been kind of like, flirting with a little bit here.
Yeah, a little bit of,
Yeah. I mean, the cat's out of the bag, the wolf's out of the woods.
I mean, I think...
saying words.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Wolves of Queen Street?
So it's definitely the coolest project I've been able to work on in a while.
Cool.
Cool
meaning?
Yeah. We were slated for production, I believe it was March 17th, 2020.
Okay.
Who remembers March 2020?
I do. I remember it.
We were 3 days away from production, and I'm like sending out the emails to the extras. We're going on Sunday afternoon. We're going. And then I'm getting the call on Monday. The world's shutting down. So we had to put a pin in that for the year. It sucked doing pre-production twice, but I mean it's not that big of a deal. Pandemic affected a lot more people in a lot more severe ways.
Right.
Once we got going on production again, I'm really glad I got it in when I did, because it would have been like drowning now.
Right.
Production is for the Wise Guys Charity Fund. This is third year working with them.
At Wise Guys Charity, everybody, go follow them. Wise Guys Charity.
Yeah. So we're working on the roast of the Cook brothers, Adam and Steve Cook. Also, that was kind of hard working with an Adam and a Steve. The naming was getting me confused, right? Adam, Steve. Who's getting roasted here? But I had all of my crew that I love to work with, and they were basically working at cost. So we had a budget, but it was nobody was getting what their true value is, and I think that's common, and that's the big hurdle that everyone in Niagara wants to get over. We want to get to that like film community level.
Absolutely.
But the fact is, we got paid to do what we're great at.
Right.
And I had an amazing team. Like I got reinvigorated on that shoot. Maybe the pandemic blues kind of reawoken everything.
Yeah, warmed you up.
Because everyone was just giving it so hard. The extras that came out, like, I mean, talk is cheap. The trailer is going to be coming out towards the end of August.
Nice.
You'll see it in the trailer. But like we shot that with the new A7 IIIs, 4.2 12-bit RAW. Like, so the technical side's really cool. It's looking real nice. And the cast was awesome. Tino and Pat, my lead. So Pat was my lead last year.
Yep.
But Tino was definitely like his film this year, and he was awesome. And I got like so many great things to say about it. Like, I just had so much fun. And so for instance, on day 2 of production, like it was very front-heavy production. Biggest day of shooting was day 1, and then it went down from there.
That's nice.
It was kind of nice. We started at the top of the hill, like, I'd ascend and then cool down. But day 2, for instance, we started just the workhorse that the crew was like doing for me was amazing. Like, we had, just to keep it short, we had 5 company moves in one day,
Right.
including the crew building a green screen in this office while a bald cap was being applied. And like, it was nuts, and we were just on
Multiple
fire.
logistics, simultaneous, day-to-day organization.
And that's I'm humbled in many ways, but the one area that I definitely can get confident about is my organization. I'm very technical and scheduled that way.
Time management.
I'm having a flashback to Thunder Bay, and when we got to shoot on film, there is a mathematical equation for feet per film, right? Someone else figured that out. I didn't, obviously.
Right.
And I remember only having 1,600 feet of film, and actually in my shot list, like doing the math and saying, okay, including slate, I have 12 seconds to get this shot off. And I had my AD timing it for me, and I ended up getting all the shots I needed with 1,600 feet of film. And of course, I went back and got more stuff on the digital cameras. Who cares? But the idea is that like I love the organization, so getting it all, like getting that time in pre-production to kind of just get all the elements. And especially when the crew is on set and they're all here for your project, it's foolish to not be ready. The last thing I want to be doing is wasting other people's time. And I think that's another thing that people value in my work ethic is like, I don't want to waste your time. I want, I want to be efficient with it, and you'll then give it to me again. Because that's really like what indie filmmaking is like begging and pleading and asking for favors and promising later. All your promises come later, but you just, commit to it and say like, you'll get pizza on the set, maybe a salad,
If you're lucky. If you're lucky. So what was it like working with the Wise Guys Charity, or what's it been like working with them over the years and their content and ideas and sort of their, I guess, out-of-the-box openness to storytelling and risk-taking, I guess, in that?
Yeah, so my main contact with the Wise Guys is Brandon. I hope he's watching. If he's not, we're going to have problems.
Brandon!
We're going to have a talk. He's supposed to be my point man and my #1 cheerleader. So if he's not watching this right now, I'm going to be offended. And so he's my main contact. He's producer. He helps me in a lot of ways. So the short answer is they're really great. Like they basically just let me go and do. You know, like Pat and I developed the script over a few beers and watching Wolf of Wall Street at my place.
This is Patrick Gagliardi you're making reference to?
Yeah, I thought we discussed we weren't going to say his name. I don't really like to promote Pat. He's kind of like a tough pill. Yeah, like let's just.
I would say friend of the show, but now I guess I'll say acquaintance of the show.
Let's call him Mr. G. Mr. G, I think is safe.
Mr. G.
So I love it because he's not here to defend himself. He usually has something stupid to say.
Mr. G sounds a bit too cool, though.
That's true. Yeah, Mr. Gag. How about that? I do love Mr. Gag, though. He's a great guy.
Patricio.
Patrice. And him and I wrote it, and basically the only thing that the wise guys said to me was just for the Wolf of Wall Street parody, avoid the drug use, because obviously the Quaaludes and everything, and that's the thing. But that's, it is a roast film that's playing live. People are getting rowdy, so we just avoided the drugs, and that was it. No micromanagement.
The only note.
Went all out.
So I guess like taking something like The Wolf of Wall Street and kind of with recreation or parody or homage, whatever you want to call it, I guess what do you love about doing that, and what is kind of difficult about getting it right or making it authentic to what you are referencing?
For me, it's all about exercise. So, when you are, like I said earlier, imitation, right? Marty is a great guy to copy because he's just amazing, right? So when you look at his films, I mean, Casino is my #1 from him, right?
Okay.
That's it. That's nothing untouchable, right?
Okay.
But when you watch a movie like that, that's a movie that if you would have asked me, I'll just ask it for you. If you could have made a movie that exists, it would have been Casino, right? That's the one. Okay. Not T2. T2's great, but Casino's the one.
Casino.
So the thing is, when I'm like,
I want to bet on that.
No.
Parody to me is like super cool because we're not able to sell the movie past the roast. It's not like we can go and release it. We're using like Kanye West, and it's like I called him, he didn't answer, but
it's busy.
So for me, it's just like a cool exercise in trying to see how they did something, like tearing the scene down, like the scene, obviously the big one, break it down, and so the big scene, with Leo's big impassioned speech, that's a very hard scene to like shot list and break down, and they have like 150 extras and that. And there's just moments I remember, like, when he takes the watch off and throws it, and they got an amazing slow-mo shot, and just like the hand grabs it. Like, I didn't get that shot because the time didn't permit it, and we couldn't really find a way to fit it in. But it's like, you sometimes just look at those people. Like, we're constantly being shown new content by great directors, when like Sicario, for instance, you've got that, when that came out, and just the amount of like insane, probably leading off of Collateral, like the car mounts, all the cool car mount shots that Michael Mann did, and then Sicario had some pretty sick ones too, with like on the side and tilting up, and actually like these motions, you want to like, you see them and you're inspired by them. I mean, that's, for me, I'm going to do that forever. I'm never going to sit there and say, this is my shot and I designed it.
Right.
I'm just going to say like, it's like a shortcut to people. Like if you're my DP, I'll be like, it's like the shot in Napoleon Dynamite when they put the food down. I've always been a big fan of in-camera title cards, stuff like that. I could relate something to you quickly by explaining it, and it's not like I don't know. I don't have any ego there. Like it's just like I know I'm original in ways, and I know I'm creative, and the rest will just come based on the experiences that I've encountered. If I see something in my life, that's the copying that moment.
Yeah.
I happen to watch a lot of movies, so I can tie that into the stuff. So
it's not where you take things to, it's where you or it's not where you take things from, it's where you take them to.
Great.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Like
copying
plagiarism to a point. Like I'm just, like look at Tarantino. He made a career off of that. Like, and he took all the like, what is it, City Hunter and all the earlier movies, Death Rides a Horse, and like turned it into his own thing.
Right.
And you just like editing, you get the footage and you take it and you make it something new. And no one's going to sit there and say Kill Bill isn't an original movie, but it's like an amalgamation of like 150 other like movies, right down to the using the same score in certain shots that are like from that movie. Like he's not subtle about it, and that's like he's doing fine.
I think he's doing okay.
He's okay.
He's all right.
Yeah.
In regards to the Wolves of Queen Street, what was the most difficult shot for you to get, or most difficult take, I suppose? Or like one that just took you forever?
Let's think about that.
Because you said you didn't get that one shot, but
so we didn't do that. We ended. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But like we were planning on doing like a long kind of Birdman type shot, you know, moving through Holiday Inn.
Okay.
And we kind of made the decision to not really rely on that because I really didn't want to, like, we did some moves into the wall, but then that's just drawing attention to the fact that you're cutting.
Yeah.
So I just decided, and we didn't have the time, and we also, this was on our 5 location day, right? So we, end of day 2. And we just said, you know what, let's go a little bit natural and you know, so that'll be the scene that everyone can see is a bit darker. But also, this is back to the question about follow focus. You know, I had Nick rocking, you know, the gimbal, and Josh Boyd was doing the like the AC, and if anyone needs a great, like, no, he was just guiding. Like,
guiding,
he has a great system for like leading your camera up. Like, you know, when I did a couple takes to give Nick's arm a break, he's like, okay, I'm gonna tap you when you're close to something. I'm gonna tap you faster if you're getting too close, and then I'm gonna physically move you. And he was like, I was like, oh, this is like Cradle, that's great. And so he was really great there. And
shout out to Josh Boyd.
Josh Boyd. He was gonna be here tonight, but I told him it's too hot and there's too many cooks in the kitchen right now, so let's just leave it. But
He'll thank you later.
yeah, for sure. So that was a tough shot, and again, it's the follow focus. So that's
Right.
the main thing. Like video autofocus is a cool thing, but it's not something you want to rely on in a cinematic level.
No.
Yeah.
You want control there.
Of course.
And I know that with, you know, Nick Taylor and I are going to be playing with the Tilta nucleus in a bit. I'm like an ad for all these like companies. Like,
Right.
That's good.
give me
That's
free
good.
Get some
stuff.
commission.
Yeah, it's just like, where's it on the table?
Yeah,
Some
like,
product
seriously.
placement here.
But yeah, so using something like the follow focus, that is really the world where things get challenging.
Yeah.
And it is nice to do that. And also we had a little bit of difficulty with the camera mount, the car mount on the one shoot day, just because dealing with polarizers shooting through the glass of a car.
Yep.
Oh, and even though the production did have a horseshoe, you know, surrounding it, we were pretty lucky. The big Ontario Street fire that happened this summer
Right.
was one street, literally one block away from where we were shooting downtown St. Catharines on Queen Street. So like,
Right.
yeah, like we were literally downtown bright and early, and yeah.
Wow.
Like it crushed us. Like we
Right.
were trying to get just a car to pull out, but all the traffic was diverted. Again, I'm not whining. Like it's like
Right.
the bigger problems going on.
Right.
But
Bigger fish to fry.
it was a tricky
Right.
morning.
Just in terms of your craft, I was curious, or your approach as a director. You mentioned it a little earlier at a wedding where you tried to describe the David Fincher shot you wanted to get. I guess like communicating your vision to actors versus like non-actors or real subjects. I guess what do you find interesting about that?
I usually just stare at them blankly until they get confused, and then they, you know, get
Yeah.
confused and they go
Yeah.
for it. No, I mean, like, are you asking kind of how do I convey my?
Maybe some of those more abstract ideas to someone that maybe doesn't know as much about film or being in front of the camera.
Yeah, so I'm definitely one of those guys when I'm describing, like, I know in the industry it's usually like taboo to like tell a performer like say it like this, but I don't do that. But I will sometimes phrase it in a way. It's like, you know, it's kind of like this.
Right.
And you do it your way, you're the talent, but like, here's what I was thinking. And then another, you know, Erica years ago made a supercut of me saying like on set when we were doing Deep River 100 years ago. And it was pretty funny how many times I said like in one sentence. I've grown like a lot from there.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like I kind of, no. I just, I go off the cuff. I just make it up
Right.
and try and explain, because, you know, working with kids can be obviously challenging.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been lucky. I haven't worked with really any like super extreme divas, you know, that are really, you know, prima
Except for
donnas.
Patrice.
Oh, you just got to know how to talk to them, though.
Yeah,
You know,
Just feed him.
get a calzone on set, and he's good to go.
We'll get into that. Any shots? Obviously, we've talked a little bit about not copying, but finding that inspiration and copying it. I'm curious, do you have any shots that you've maybe dreamt up of your own that you haven't attempted yet, or just stuff that's resonated for you and you haven't attempted yet, but you want to?
Well, I had a cool idea on a script I was writing when I was like in my 20s. You know, Strange Days. You remember that movie where they put the helmet on and got like somebody else's POV? I had this cool idea where somebody kind of got stabbed in the eye, like a vampire. I think it was a vampire story. And the blood that was on the knife from the vampire, when stabbed into the guy's eye, somehow caused that individual to get part of the vampire's, you know,
Blood. Or
physiology.
Yeah.
So I had this idea for this like split screen, and this was also done in the movie Deja Vu when they're like looking at the past and in the future.
Yeah.
So I had this idea of trying to find a way to use a split screen in a way that's telling two stories simultaneously. And it's been done before,
Right.
you know, but that's one. I think
it's tough when you think about trying to come up with like a new shot. Like, you know, it's the same with music. You know, there's only so many notes. It's just how you arrange them. So, I mean, I don't have a direct answer for that right now, but what I am starting to really rely on, and Wolves is going to have a bit of this, is the extreme close-up. And and Fincher does this a lot too. You know, Zodiac has so many extreme close-ups where it's just like a shot of a phone or a pen writing, and you just get
all those details. It's
a great break, you know, because when you've got a 3-cam setup or even just an over-the-shoulder scenario, and then you go into an extreme close-up that's a true cutaway, then that's just
breaks it up.
And it just gets the audience. It kind of throws them off sometimes too. It's what is this close-up, you know, for? Like 2001, you know, you've got the two guys in the ship talking away from Hal, and then boom, hard cut into this big red eye, and it's just, and then you flip it and you just see the mouths. They're literally like, you know, I mean, Kubrick is so great in where he cuts and puts the camera, but you know that kind of close-up,
what it means,
does so much, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that a lot.
I like it a lot.
Let's a mutual point for you and I, Adam, is our work on Corkscrewed. So I'd love to, I think, jump into that whole process for you. Shout out to Pat, Patrice, Ralph, Nick, Adrian, Kevin, Taylor, everybody. That was all the winemakers as well. All the names that came together and made that show what it is and what it hopefully is going to continue to be with future seasons.
For sure.
In development. I'm just curious. I guess just the first question would just be like, what was that like for you? Like,
I was cool. You know,
for TV too, like directed for TV.
Yeah.
I think like a different format.
Have I made it? I don't know. Did I? That was a cool thing. I think that's like the closest to the DGA I'm ever gonna get. That's American. What's the Canadian?
DGC.
I don't even know. Like clearly I got my hours.
There's a DGC rep there watching.
Good.
So, I mean, you know, you're a permit.
Clearly I watched too many American movies. But obviously I'm incredibly humbled and proud that, you know, Ralph and Mr. Patrice asked me to do that direct. I was kind of floored. I kind of tried to take the job away from myself, and I said, like, are you guys wanting me because you're so close to the gun? And then they started sweating a lot, and they cried a little bit, and then they said, no, we like your style, Adam.
Right.
I think it's just because I think they know my easygoing personality, and humor is something I'm really into, so, you know, I think that's what they wanted, right?
Like, really?
What's that?
Humor?
Well, a little bit. I try to be. I mean, my timing wasn't great there, but... so yeah, the experience was amazing. Again, get the crew in the right place, and all I have to do is steer the ship. And you know, directing is a hard job, but once you're on the day, it's actually very easy as long as you're able to keep all your thoughts clear and not get overwhelmed. I can't take that advice now. As I said, I'm up to my neck in like work right now, and I'm having a hard time finding the pathway for everything. But on set, all you have to do is focus on the moment and the day, and you just like 1 hour at a time, and you know, one shot at a time, one set at a time,
one beat at a time.
That's right. Amazing experience. I loved working season 1 with Kevin Davidson, the DP. He was awesome.
Loved working with Kevin as well.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's super organized.
He's like my kind of guy in that world.
Camaraderie.
Yeah. And then season 2, we had the guys from Foregrounds in, so Nader, you know, Rick and Adrian came out. Like they were great too. They're super pros. But that's everyone. Like the guys from Hive. I'm probably forgetting somebody. It's like an Oscar speech, but
that's okay.
It's the main thing is that everybody is like working hard and killing it. And I know the day we were at Jackson Triggs was a legit day on season 2, and we had so much to do. And it was like I had one crew setting up lights for this. You know, this is a day where it would have been good to have like an AD. And not to say that that's needed, but it would have helped. And we made it work. But it's like I had a crew setting up here so we can get this ready shot for this sabering, you know, and do something that way, and moving into here and getting built for drone shots. So it was cool, and I'm happy and proud to be part of it, and I'm looking forward to more collabs. I hope maybe they like Ralph looks into maybe alternate hosts, but you know,
you can only do what you can.
Right now, Pat's like eating that calzone and just like fuming at me. He's like, oh, I'm not coming in for ADR and Wolves. Isn't that great? He's not here to like defend himself. Yeah, he's probably chatting. He's like, oh.
He's really live in those chats.
Well, shout out to the Corkscrewed.
Shout out to Corkscrewed fam, the Corkscrewed team.
They're killing it. Like Simon editing. You know, right back to the whole assistant editor, and he's not the assistant, he is the editor, but
Yeah.
the whole thing is I remember Pat on one of the days with all the offloading of, almost like a terabyte a day.
Right.
He was feeling the benefit of having Simon go, here's the footage, we're still shooting, start assembling, because editing is just so much work. It's so
Tedious.
yes, it's like you think you're done production, when you're done production, you're like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great
We
feeling.
did it.
It's a good feeling.
We did it.
But
There's a whole other mountain.
yeah, shut up, get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then realize all the problems you have.
Well, pets, this is their time for
Yes, this is
all the pets watching. This
This
is
is a
their
pet
time.
moment. Yeah, do you want to take the reins on this?
Well, we know that Buffy is watching at home and one of perhaps the live stream's biggest fans.
Truly.
The jury's out on that, but you'd have to ask.
I just hope she didn't pause it.
So we want to give a shout out to all the pets watching, and if you want to show the
I just wanted to show this pic because
visual reference.
so my daughter Billy, she is really good at dressing up Buffy. And
Billy, Buffy, Bunny?
yeah, a lot of E's, and then there's
A
Adam.
lot of bees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Buffy's our awesome dog that we really, really love, and that's the thing too. When before you have a child, it's like the dog gets all the love, and you're walking her every day, and sometimes it's like, oh, you feel bad, you're not getting out on as many walks, and she's getting a bit older, so even in this heat, I don't want to
Right.
give her a stroke, so we try and minimize it. If I brought her here, she'd be dead in 5 minutes because of the heat. But great dog, awesome temperament. I love dogs.
So
Yeah.
I'm always gonna have a dog.
Now that our audience has got a chance to look at Buffy, how important of a role does Buffy play in your life, both creatively and as a best friend, a longtime best friend?
So Buffy is the dog.
these guys.
My wife Bunny, who's amazing, is always there for me. But there's things that she just can't do that Buffy can do, which is just
Right.
the cuddles and the slurps. Oh,
Right.
that sounds bad. My dog is just nuts. Like she's just I love her, and I also love my wife Bunny.
Clear.
She's like, I'm logging off.
All the love.
Yeah, but yeah, I just and I love walking the dog, and I just love, she's there. She's actually usually in my office. I do a lot of my work from home, so even today,
Studio dog.
Bunny's leaving the house, and she's like, "Where's Buffy?" And I just hear her slurping it back there, and it's just like, "Yeah, she's here." Yeah. So.
Has Buffy had any cameos?
Yeah. So there's a video that I did for the 24-hour challenge, like Derek and Paul and I years ago. Remember 24-hour challenge?
Yeah.
We did like a fake origin story for it, trying to get on that train.
Yeah,
so we had her in it, and the dog Buffy. I'm trying to think. Probably have featured her elsewhere, but yeah, she's.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Well, that flew by. That was
Has that been
crazy.
an hour?
That was an hour. I just.
I've lost 5 pounds.
I have. I wanted to. Thank you, obviously, for welcoming us into this lovely abode at Captivate, having us break bread on this table. Wanted to give you the opportunity to shout out anybody that's, I guess, maybe giving you your career like any boosts along the way, or like people that have really been supportive of you and what you've done in your path.
Wow. Well, my parents. I'm a very lucky guy. I'm I've had a lot of really positive people around me. That bio that I wrote clearly because there's a lot of eyes.
Yeah.
There's just been a lot of people in my life that have always supported me, from my parents to obviously my partner Bunny, and just, creatively too, they're in this room,
Yep.
There's just been a lot of support, and I wouldn't want to single anyone out, but
Buffy.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's just, I'm very lucky, I got a lot of really cool people around me,
Yes.
and the thing is, it's just sometimes you feel there's colleagues that I've made from school out in Thunder Bay that I'm not as close to as I once was, and you just feel there's not even enough time sometimes to keep up with people, and it feels bad, you're just I love making friends and meeting new people, but then you start it's like a tension, it's there's only so many hours in the day, and texting is cool because you can, get a bunch out and that, but I think 2020 and 2021, I got some of the COVID blues for sure, kind of messed me up psychologically for a while.
Yeah.
And I think what I've pulled out of that for this moving forward is that I don't want to be around people that don't bring me up and elevate me to be the best version of myself.
I love that.
Yeah, surround yourself with people that are good and good for you and make you feel good about yourself when you're done hanging out with them, because the last thing you want to do is hang out with Potato that's going to bring you down.
Yeah.
And I don't have time for that. Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything. I didn't
Well,
say, he pointed. I mean, you guys have 61.
Jade's a potato, not potato.
Tomato, tomato.
Bit of a fancy.
Tornado, tornado.
So yeah, I'm not gonna say anyone. Obviously, Bunny is the number one. She's my number one
Right.
cheerleader. She kicks butt and she's the
Yeah.
best. So, you know.
Rock on, Bunny.
Love it.
That's a good Bunny shout out.
Yeah,
Well-
Bunny shout out.
That being said, I mean,
That's
don't know what else could be said.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for
Thank you
coming
so
on
much.
this Wildfire
It's been
Live.
it's been a pleasure.
You guys have
It's
done
been
a lot of cool people. So I'm gonna.
No, man, this has been awesome, man.
Yeah.
We took it
Yeah,
to
yeah.
night today.
That's
so
that's all we got.
Thanks everybody for joining us on this Wildfire live stream at Captivate Studio, and hopefully see you next week. And yeah, so you roll the music.
Oh,
Wait, guys, hold on.
What the hell?
Am I on time?
Holy!
Greg.
You're here, man. You're good.
Is this Greg Holmes in the flesh?
No, it's a hologram.
It's a hologram.
Hey, Greg.
Well, welcome in Greg
Wildfire
the hologram
director.
Holmes
Gentlemen.
to this Wildfire live stream at Captivate Studio in
Niagara.
Well, it's my hometown. I had to try to be here.
We're here.
How'd
Yeah,
you get here?
you had to be
I can
here.
help you out here. Oh, hey.
Oh, he's getting laved up.
Oops, that should be fine.
We good?
Yeah.
He's official.
Am I on?
You're on.
This is amazing.
This is wild.
This is planned spontaneity.
This is, yes. I didn't even.
I don't know what we're gonna
I had
ask, Greg.
no idea I was going to be coming out.
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
That's
It's been a pretty good summer. It's been a pretty good summer.
How's the show as an audience member?
Great. It's great.
It felt good.
Tuning in every week. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. I couldn't
Hey.
be more pleased with all the, you know,
We've
all the promotion that our
How's Bitcoin?
wonderful project. It's all right. I'm learning the trading game.
Yeah.
It's been challenging, but I'm getting there.
Let's take a rewind.
it's
Take us through basically a SparkNotes version of everything that Wildfire has been.
Holy God.
SparkNotes, Greg. SparkNotes. Cliff Notes.
Okay. It was an amazing experience on which I learned an incredible amount.
Still in the process.
Still in the process. I mean, it's one of those situations where you don't know what you don't know until you realize you don't know it. So it's been a lot. It's been a really interesting learning experience. It's been long. You don't really realize how long things are going to take until you try to do them. And then all of your plans as far as, you know, how long you thought something was going to take.
You look very strong, by the way. Your arms are pulsing.
They are? Maybe I'm
It's your
nervous.
veins.
Editing arms.
Those editing
Editing
arms.
arms.
Yeah, that's editing
It's
arms.
my fingers. No, you really don't realize how much time things are going to take. I think that was the most surprising thing to me, was that I kind of had this timeline of I wanted to get this done here and this done here, and then I was going to try to get, you know, the edit done by this date. And when you get into it and you find yourself going back over things and over things and over things.
And the magnitude of a feature film with a giant VFX workflow.
Holy crap. And I'm just now, again, you realize as you really get into it, how long things take. And then you have an idea of how you want to do something, right? You say, okay, I want to do this, and then this is going to work, and then I'm going to move on to this. And then one thing kind of breaks down partway through, and you have to go and kind of rethink how you're going to do it, and then you have to learn another piece of software, and it's coming along, but I'm surprised at how long. I mean, you know, people who've made feature films on their own, well, not on their own, but who've been doing, you know, 80% of the post-production work would probably have been able to tell me, oh yeah, you know, you budget a year and a half, yeah, you'll be done in 4. So, you know, that's the thing. Well, I'm not saying it's going to be 4.
I just kidding.
Exaggerations, but
Yeah.
yeah. And you know, most. Spook in my producer.
Oh,
But
Greg.
it's yeah, and the people that I've met, and just it's been a pretty incredible learning experience.
Take us
Tackling
through
like
it. Take us through what it was like to make this film. Obviously,
Well, it was-
post-production has
yeah.
been the biggest part, you know, since the production wrapped 2 years ago. So let's talk about 2 years ago.
put that on the
No, it
table.
didn't wrap 2 years.
Started.
It's been just less than 2 years. It started 2 years ago.
Okay.
Counting.
Okay, I'm counting too.
Well, yeah, I was looking at my phone, the old, you know, the memories that come up. It's like 2 years ago, stuff I shot in the barn. You know, it's like, oh yeah.
There's our opportunity, Greg, in person,
Okay.
to take it out on you. Nick and
So
I
it
have
was.
been, you know.
It's okay. Full responsibility.
Jade's been wearing that producer
right
hat for a while now.
It's it was interesting to see it start as an idea that Adam and I had.
Adam Greckle,
Yeah, Adam Greckle.
who wrote the screenplay.
He did. Well,
You came up with the story.
Well, okay.
It was collaborative.
The way that we did it was I kind of came to Adam with an idea.
Yeah.
And then we kind of sat and talked. We got together over a couple of beers, a couple of times, and
Nice.
kind of
Sounds like
hashed
fun.
out
Why wasn't I
an
invited?
idea.
Okay.
Hashed out an idea, kind of got the rough bones of the story done. And then we'd meet every week to a week and a half.
Yep.
We'd kind of outline where we wanted the story to go over the next 20 pages. Adam would go away and he'd write all the dialogue and the directions, and he'd write the screenplay that way. He would come back, I'd review it, and we'd review it together before we met, then we'd talk about it, and then we'd kind of hash out the next 10 to 20 pages. We did that over the span of 2 or 3 months.
Yep.
And then we came up with a script, and then we revised the script, and then we revised
So
it again,
160
and
pages originally?
160 pages to 140.
It was 140, and you cut it
Yeah.
down to,
120.
and that's what we shot
Yeah, and what's
in 20
on-
days.
What's going to be on film is about 108, maybe 110 of it, give or take.
Give or take a page.
So yeah, I mean, it depends on what Rain and I end up, finally cutting it down to once I get back at that.
Shout out to Rain Pakoda, if you're watching, the lead in Wildfire, playing Julie, as well as Greg's co-editor.
Yeah, haven't done that in a while, but yeah,
Editing,
that was
yeah.
that was a great experience too. But okay, so and then after that, it was a matter of organization.
Yep.
So trying to organize shooting 140 pages of screenplay in 21 days was challenging. What I decided I wanted to
That was
do,
the most fun part for me.
Yeah, I know.
I love that part.
It was
I was like, this is our day. We're gonna.
Well,
make it.
you were instrumental in helping keeping things flowing and keeping things moving, because you're always let's go, let's get
Yeah, I
to the
rush.
next shot.
I rush things.
But
I
you
gotta
know
stop
what?
rushing.
We wouldn't.
That's what you're
no,
saying.
no.
No, but you were also
Dude, we wouldn't have been able to finish it.
you were also Mr. One More Take, so you
I am.
also
Yeah.
you did it till we got it right.
But
so.
I mean, without you pushing, I'm a little more meticulous.
And without Nick,
Without Nick
Please-
on the sound
please talk about
and
me,
just being a fantastic crew member, we wouldn't have got a shot. But
Hear that, Mom?
he made it.
I did it.
We all made
We
it.
all made it. We all made it for here.
the planning,
It's the Hollywood Reporter Roundtable.
and then you plan out every shot you want to get, and then you put it all in kind of a spreadsheet, and you kind of have an idea of, okay, I want to shoot this with this lens from this angle, and then I want to get these takes, and then you kind of map it all out, scene by scene, shot by shot. And then you go in to shoot it, and then it's one of those things where, you realize some things don't necessarily work the way you want them to, then you kind of end up swapping things out here and there while you're shooting, but you got to have that plan. But I don't know, it's just been an adventure. It really felt, it was wild. I keep thinking back to those
Shoot days.
3 months from the planning phase, 4 months, I guess, from the really planning and getting everything set up phase through shooting and then wrapping. Like, I can't believe that was 4 months, and now I've been sitting here working on post-production for almost 2 years, a year and a half.
And just to put into perspective the amount of work that's gone into this film since wrapping
Oh my
shooting,
God, hundreds
not
of
just from a
hours.
post-production end, but from a promotional end,
Yeah.
raising funds,
Please.
Yeah.
Indiegogo's,
Live
comedy night fundraisers.
If anybody ever asked,
It takes a
Should
community
I-
to make a feature film. It takes a village.
yeah.
A crazy village.
The crazy
It
village.
does. There's nothing more collaborative.
Think of all those
than
actors. They're
film.
nuts.
Oh my God.
Specifically Chris Vallejos.
That crazy guy.
Oh,
Well,
Crispy.
Final remarks upon your
did-
finished
did I
film
finish
that's
what I
now
was-
done.
Did I finish what I can't remember.
That's-
Anyways, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to
No, I
ask
was just-
your final remarks on
What's next for Wildfire? What's
next
left for
Wildfire?
Wildfire? and-
Okay, so
yeah,
what's
Howard.
next for Wildfire is me finally figuring out an efficient way to do all the roto, so that I can finally get the trailer finished, which has been
Right.
dogging me for 2 months now. And then after that, it's a matter of doing that for the rest of the film, and then we're about half to 3/4 of the way through the third cut, like the third run through of the edit, so got to finish that. And then it's just a matter of, sound design and score after that, and color. But I mean, those things I can kind of do. I don't have to learn that much.
If you were going to write it all down as far as the priority list, what would you say are like the
trailer?
Yeah.
Because, the idea with a trailer is you can get something out there. Like, what I'd really like to do is we finish this trailer off. We show a little bit of kind of what the feel of the movie is going to be, what we want to accomplish with the visual effects, and kind of get people interested in the story. And then I'm hoping we can bring more hands and more people into our little
workflow,
Wildfire community and workflow that we can kind of delegate a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe bring a bit of money in, maybe bring a bit of people's time in, and just be able to get all of the things that still need to be finished, because there's a lot of man hours that still need to go into it. And I don't know that I can do it all myself. But I want to be able to...
It takes a man
to admit that.
Yeah, well, a film's collaborative, right? So you need more people. Well, yeah.
Anyone.
Female empowerment.
So
to respecting women.
Yes, always.
Here, here. Well, you're the guy for it, so
I'm doing my best.
you'll steer the ship. You're steering the ship.
And
We're your first mates.
Actually, maybe one thing about that too is like you're saying about your shot list on the day, and or in pre-pro, and then coming out.
Yeah.
Filmmaking is a lot of compromise. You just every moment you're kind of, okay, so what did I see on paper? What can I do in real life, and what can I then finish in post?
Yeah, and then you've got this idea in your head of even before you've seen locations, like, wow, this is where you wanna. This is what I see this location being, and then you get the location, and it's good. But then you kind of have to reimagine exactly how it's going to look, and then when you start working with the actors in the space, then you kind of have to think, okay, well, I can put the camera here, and I can kind of get the shot I want to get. Okay, what's a better place to move things around? How can I make this?
You have to be willing to adapt.
You have to.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important when you're doing an independent film on a limited budget than being willing to compromise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
That's
Greg,
great.
Adam, Greg, Nick, Jade, Hari, Taylor, Erica, Greg, Adam.
Jade.
4 hours later, title card.
Nick, Adam.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for making this night special.
This was amazing.
And having some great, this feels like a director's roundtable. I feel like we need to, I think we need to do this again.
Yeah, but they have temperature control levels, so they're not looking like a bunch of sweaty people.
Well, yeah.
But I do feel like there's a lot of warmth in here. There's something keeping us together
It's
here.
the humidity. But
I feel like we're touching. The air is so thick.
So thick.
Well, Jade, you pulled the blazer off. You're making it work, and you actually don't look as sweaty as you did earlier in the day. So
Thank you.
It's really cooled down in here a little bit.
Thank you, sir. But we're going to heat it up with more Wildfire stuff coming at you. So stay tuned.
September is going to be a good month. So
we are actually going to start interviewing some firefighters. So I'm very excited about that. So
Nice.
Cool.
yeah,
All right.
stay on brand.
well, reporting live from Captivate in St. Catharines.
49 Nihon Street.
4.
4 Nihon Street. St. Catharines.
I've been Nicholas Jansen.
I have also been Jade Robertson. And if I was going to give a review, I'd say comfortable space, great temperature, beautiful people.
We bring the heat up.
Wonderful.
There is the stakes.
Truly the best location
They
for
bring
Wildfire.
the heat on screen and off.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've turned the heat up.
It's getting hot in here.
So now,
What else can we say?
I think we just sign it off.
Thanks again, Adam.
Do we have any other surprise guests, or is this Buffy's not here?
No, Buffy's not here.
Okay.
Maybe a paramedic because I'm about to pass out.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think let's all go take some ice cold showers and maybe have an ice cold brew or two and
All right.
rock on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for
Oh, hey,
having me.
Greg.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Thanks, everybody.
Erica,
I've
cut.
never ended something like this.
Cut. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Taylor. How'd you do back then? You
Fantastic.
okay?
Yeah, I survived. It was off the attack. So.